Alrighty, welcome back everyone to the 2020 Vision Podcast. This is episode 11. Look, y'all, it has been a great journey through these episodes talking about mental health and wellness. And forgive me for my raspy voice. I had too much fun over Thanksgiving, but we are back to season 3. And today I have Miss Arianna Walker. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you so much for hopping on. Why don't you go ahead and introduce
Good.
yourself and then we'll get started.
Well, as he already stated, my name is Arianna Walker. I am a student athlete at the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, and I am from Chicago, Illinois.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been an exciting experience. I've been able to connect with different people from different schools, different ranges of fields, so many different types of personalities. I think one of the biggest misconceptions of our generation is talking about what we're actually going through. And I think that's something that is really important. I spent my entire first 2 years of college trying to figure out like where, kind of you go through stuff. You're like, how can I talk it out? How can I get it out of my head? One of the biggest things about this platform is it gave people a chance to really express themselves and get those thoughts out. So, talking about that, talk a little bit about your upbringing. Where you came from, what made you choose to go to Nebraska, and how you navigated life through that.
Okay, so about my upbringing. So I was raised by my mom and my grandmother because my dad passed away at a young age. So I really didn't get a chance to like bond with him a lot. But really, I just grew up around like very strong, independent women. So that honestly like motivated me to continue the legacy in a sense, like continue to go hard and strive for more than what they accomplished so I can, when the time comes, make sure like they're set for life and they don't have to work anymore and they can retire and stuff of that nature. So pretty much I grew up on the south side of Chicago, which is like really bad, but it was very hard like when I was younger, like to form bonds with like friends and stuff because it was so dangerous. And me being the only child, like my mom, she really didn't like me like going outside because it was scary. So I had a lot of like social anxiety like before I moved like to the suburbs. So um pretty much like I feel like since I moved to the suburbs, I had grown like a lot, like personality wise, and like being able to express myself more in a sense. I originally started university at Illinois State. I went there for 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year, and then I ended up transferring to UNL this upcoming fall semester. So I'm pretty new to the campus, but what made me transfer was like track wise and education wise because Illinois State didn't have like a lot of the resources that I needed, like to go into the medical field and to actually have a good step forward in the medical field because the university is primarily based upon business and nursing. So it really wasn't fit for me as a pre-medicine student in a sense.
Awesome. Yeah. And this is one of my most favorite things about talking to people from other schools is that you really get a chance to see kind of like how stories differentiate, between people's upbringing and their childhood. And one of the things that I picked up on what you said was that, like watching your environments and where you come from, like that's a really important factor of how we grew up. I know I've heard stories about Chicago, I've seen the documentaries, seen the movies, know how Chicago is. And it's, just like any other city, everything is pretty rough around the edges. You have to kind of just, scope into who you're going to be. And, me personally growing up like in a small suburban area, I didn't really live the city life as a kid. So I can only imagine the amount of, experiences and different things that went on in a big city. Talking about your collegiate experience, so you're a first gen college student based on, what we discussed, and you also are a big track star. So how do you feel like that has played into your collegiate experience, and you going to Nebraska now. I know that's been a different experience, attending a PWI, and most of the people that I meet are from HBCUs. This is actually a very like interesting transition and switch. So, how's your collegiate experience? One, as a Black student, at a PWI. Two, also as a student athlete as a whole.
Okay, so talking from a student point of view, it's very different from a student athlete's point of view. But so to start with the student point of view, so at Illinois State, I really didn't have a lot of connections like with people in my classes, just because I was very not shy, but like I didn't really like put myself out there to speak to other people. Like I was very like to myself, and I got my work done and I would just leave class. Like I didn't make friends with people that were sitting next to me, none of that. And also like it is harder like being at a PWI, because most people that go to PWIs, of course, it's a lot of white people and they already have their little friend groups together. And me being a Black girl, it's kind of awkward to be in those settings, because sometimes you may feel like, oh, what if they don't think I'm smart enough? What if they don't actually like take what I'm saying into consideration? Like, what if I'm like, it's just a whole lot that goes to store with it. And I feel like that is one common thing that a lot of students go through, like wherever you go, especially like at a PWI. That's one thing that definitely is like the major thing that most students feel like they may go through at a PWI. But from a student athlete's point of view, I feel like it's completely different, just because we do have more connections, and also it's easier to bond with a student athlete who like goes through the same stuff you go through, has a similar schedule as you, compared to like a regular student. So like at UNL, like I have a lot of classes with a lot of different sports. So we'll be in class, like my organic chemistry class, for example. So we'll be in class and I'll sit next to one of them, and they will help me like with my work and stuff. And it's just different compared to like if I was to talk to like a student, they wouldn't help me with my work. Like we would barely talk. Like they'd be like, hey, can I sit there? Sure. It's completely different, like looking at the two different standpoints. Like whatever university you go to is pretty much the same with student athletes versus being like a regular student.
Gotcha. And yeah, that's something that's really interesting to me, because I know most of my friends are student athletes, and they talk about it's like living a double life. And I think sometimes I guess us, regular students, we don't appreciate that enough. People play sports when they're younger and they're involved in these extracurriculars. When you're in college and mixed with the whole student athlete kind of aspect, you're just like, it's just a whole different reality. And you not only are dealing with the pressure of time management, but also the pressure of having to perform so well while under the pressure of performing in your sport. And I think it's we have to give props to those who do it, and also the results and the outcomes. You're not doing it for anything, right? Like you're not doing just anything for nothing. Like it really is having a purpose behind it. And when you talk about the difference between a PWI and HBCU, one of the biggest differences that I've seen is the level of connections and the level of how close people are. Because I went to I guess you could say like PWI middle school, and also a little bit of high school, and I saw that transition when I was growing up and going into my later teen years. But when I got to college and entered the space of Hampton, and it's like Black royalty, it just felt like I was around my people, and that's how you feel when you're in that HBCU. But I also think it shelters us from real world solutions sometimes, and also problems that we deal with. This is why one of the big differences between PWIs and HBCUs, I feel like PWIs kind of give you a more real world sense in a way, where you don't feel as privileged and as feel like you have the world at your fingertips. Just like you have to go different angles and different perspectives in that way. And then also talking in the range of mental health and about our 20s. So a lot of people I've been talking to recently have said that your emotions carry through of how your collegiate experience is, of how you are as a person during this decade. So in your personal life, do you feel like you're satisfied where you are? Do you feel like there's like just such another level you can go to in terms of, your who you are as a person, or do you feel like you are still figuring that out?
I feel like it's a mixture of everything, but I feel like I am still trying to figure out like just everything just because I'm so young. Like, and I feel like with college, like we just thrown out there and we have to figure out what we want to do for the rest of our lives. And it's kind of hard because we're learning how to navigate like without being around our parents and having to learn how to do stuff for ourselves and like actually cater and like figure out stuff ourselves. It can be kind of difficult in a sense. And I feel like since my freshman year, I have learned a lot about myself as a person and like just my personality as a whole. Like compared to when I first entered versus now, I feel like I'm way more mature. I have more structure in my life. Like I know what to do, when to do it, how to do it, how to base stuff off of time and stuff. So I will say like, I don't know, I feel like I'm never settled with anything in life. Like I feel like there's always more out there to accomplish and more that you can achieve. Like no matter what age you are, even if you're like 40 or 50, you can still achieve way more in life. So I feel like I'm never going to be satisfied until like I accomplish my goals and I do beyond those goals and accomplish more on top of those goals.
Yeah, that's a great point. Satisfaction, I feel like, is something people often look for too much because it's often not there. Yes. Right? You can do so much and be, try to be satisfied, but that's why we talked about the whole happiness and fulfillment aspect because it just, it's not always going to bring sunshine and rainbows, right? You do so much, you're like, am I satisfied by this, or did I just do it for temporary satisfaction, right? And that could be many decisions you're making, things that you decide that you want to partake in, or if you're, a college student, like just trying something new for the very first time. It's like most of the things that you do, you have to ask yourself that question and say, like, is this satisfying me for right now or setting me up, for the foundation to succeed? And that's really the $1 million question that you have to ask yourself. So, with that being said, I know as young people, as people who are still figuring ourselves out, there's a lot of mental, capacity in there where people are asking themselves those hard questions. Who am I? What am I doing here? What's my purpose? Do you feel like you have discovered your full purpose as an individual? Or do you feel like you discovered a little bit of it and are, still kind of like navigating in that space? Or do you feel like your purpose is never going to be like fully, found out? You're always going to like keep adapting to that perspective?
Honestly, I feel like my purpose is never going to be found out just because, like I said, like I have a lot of goals in life and I'm never going to be satisfied until I accomplish those goals and more. And I feel like finding out yourself as a person, you can find out each trait about yourself, but you'll never know everything about yourself in a sense. The only person, in my opinion, who will know everything about you is God. So when I think about that, I feel like you learn more about yourself in every situation that you're in and how you adapt to it. It just shows like how strong-willed or like how you're able to navigate through that problem. Like for example, last year when I was at ISU, Illinois State, I struggled a lot like with mental health and like just figuring out who I was at the moment because like as an athlete, we build our personalities and like everything around our sport. And especially when you do it for so long, because I have been competing like track wise since I was like 13. So that's all I've really known other than like school and studying and stuff. So when I was struggling a lot with track and like trying to figure out like what can I do to improve and it wasn't working, it made me actually sit back and start thinking about like life and about myself and like how I can grow as a person, because when you're in like a dark place, like you just start thinking about everything and you don't want to be in that predicament again. So like now when I look back at it, like I'm happy that I went through that stuff, because at the end of the day, like if you don't go through challenges, you'll never know like what kind of character and what kind of personality you can build off of that. So I feel like what I went through that year, it was really rough. But I feel like it was needed, because my family did shelter me a lot, like in high school and in middle school. Like I didn't get a lot of experience that other people had like gotten like prior to coming into college. So I feel like last year definitely like helped shape me and my personality, and like now I know certain boundaries that I have to like live by. And like I know more about myself as a young woman, and like I know more about what I want in life and how I can grow to get to those goals and get to that part of life that I want to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, having a plan and being like fully prepared is most important, especially if you are trying to win the long game. Right. I resonate with you when you say like sometimes you're just unsure and uncertain about, most things. You're just sitting there like, I don't know why this happened the way it did, why God pushed me the way it did. Like, not sure why this stuff happened. Like, I trust it, of course, but at the end of the day, it's like, oh man, like it didn't work out in that way. And it's just, that's life, and life is, you see all these animated shows and these shows that provide like a hidden message beyond the script that talk about, what life is. And every single time, all those shows and different types of messages meet right in the middle. And the biggest message is that life is just a mystery. It's always going to be a mystery. It's like you're never going to have it figured out. And that's one of the things that, most people are fearful about, because it's hard to grasp about that when you don't know what's coming, right? When it's unexpected. Like, I don't regret anything from my college experience. I feel like there are definitely a lot of things I would have done better or made better decisions, but I feel like over time it just helped me grow as a person. And now that I'm going into my 20s, I'm starting to learn who I am more as a person and what I'm about. And that's another thing, like our belief system in society is so competitive, and that's why like a lot of our society has these differences, because not a lot of people know how to, stay and believe in one thing, or kind of support each other in that one thing. So that's really important. And then going into the last topic, what are you looking forward to within like the next 5 to 10 years? And I know that's such a cliche question, because you get asked that at Thanksgiving, and family members like they want to get up in your business, but just think about it mentally and I'm sorry, not psychology, but in the perspective of a psychological like that standpoint. Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? And do you feel like that idea of purpose and fulfillment is going to be at a higher level, or do you feel like, some people can see it into the future, but some people are narrow-minded that they can only see it right now?
Yeah. So, follow my career path. I'll probably be like in my last year of residency, or like nearing towards the last year. So I feel like I'll have a more clear understanding of like my purpose and what I want to accomplish out of life. But now that I'm so young, like it's so hard to figure out like what I really want to. I know what I want to do, but like it's so hard to figure out like what exact like part of the medical field I want to go in. It's like I've narrowed it down, but I feel like when that time comes, I'll know or whatever. But I feel like in 5 to 10 years, I don't know, like it sounds so far away, but it's actually really close. But honestly, I just want to continue growing as a person. That's one thing that I always like strive to like always do, like take everything I learn and use it as a lesson and grow from it, rather than like dwell on it and think negatively about it. And I love like telling people my story about like what I go through and how I was able to like put my faith in God and just trust myself and just do stuff. And honestly, like I live by that now, like just putting my faith in God and just doing it, because I feel like there's nothing else you can do, And it's just life, life throws a bunch of different type of balls at you. So you just gotta take it and just handle it how it is. But honestly, I feel like in those 5 to 10 years, I feel like I will grow as a person, and I'll definitely have more structure in my life. And clearly, I'll be more mature. But work wise, I don't know yet. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, the future is definitely. I hate to say it, but the future is like a robot. Like you just never know like what it's gonna do, but you're always prepared for it, or sometimes not even prepared, but you're always knowing that it's unexpected, and that's something that I want our generation to really emphasize in their minds. It's like, no matter if it's 5, 10, 15, 20 years, like I'm always going to have a plan. I'm going to make sure that I set up a foundation to succeed and make sure that I am taking care of myself. And part of that is mental health, like, making sure that you're mentally well, physically well, spiritually well, like I want people to start realizing it all ties together.
Yeah.
You can't just have one without the other. You just be like, oh, I'm mentally sharp, but I'm physically like terrible. I'm bent out of shape. Or you can't say like I have the greatest, combo in my physical strength, but mentally I'm just messed up. Like I can't get myself together. Well, you have to, feed off of each other. Yeah. You gotta make sure that your mental, physical, spiritual, emotional are all tied in pieces. So definitely agree with you on that. And then to end it off, is there one thing or one piece of advice that you would give to your younger self, today, whether it be your 5-year-old self, 12-year-old, or 15, just to, kind of let that younger individual know that, where you are today, and give them that perspective that they didn't believe in from back then?
Honestly, younger me would be so surprised at what I'm doing. I did not expect myself to be running track collegiately, because I'm not gonna lie to you. In high school, I wanted to quit running. I didn't want to run anymore. So I feel like little me would definitely be surprised. But honestly, what I would just tell myself is to like not worry about anything and just have fun with life. Because at the end of the day, like once you get older, you worry about stuff so much where like it takes the fun out of stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like I started worrying about stuff too early, in a sense. Like, I like having structure, I like having a plan, but I feel like sometimes you gotta let life just go and like not have a plan and just enjoy the process while you're in it, because you only get one life. So you might as well have fun while you're young, and then, you can grow from whatever mistakes you made when you were younger, So I'll just say, just have fun and live with no regrets.
Yeah, absolutely. I forgot where I was. I was sitting on a bridge in traffic the other day, and I just was thinking to myself, that was a big laughing moment, because I feel like God gives you signs at different moments. But I was laughing so hard because I was like, I'm sitting here at 21 years old, stressed out about some stupid traffic heading back to college, and I'm like, I haven't even begun to see the stress that life is gonna bring. I'm like, what? I'm here for probably. I think I was stuck in traffic for probably like 15 minutes, and after that, like it cleared. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop worrying about the little things and just enjoy the bigger picture out of life. So at least I got to my destination safely.
Yeah.
At least I made it home for Thanksgiving. At least my Thanksgiving was one for the books.
And that's crazy. Like you mentioned that, because like when I was going through like all my stuff last year, my mom would always remind me like the stuff that we worry about is so tiny to God. Like it doesn't matter. Like our problems are down here. They're like this small, and his problems are all the way up here. Like the stuff that we go through like daily is just not even as important, and like how we just dramatic, basically. Like we just overthink and overanalyze everything.
Yeah, and this is true. I mean, that's life, and that's how our brains think. But over time, it'll grow, it'll adapt. We will start to have a more clear sense of why we do the things that we do, and how that's going to impact everyone. So that'd be my biggest takeaway, is to just take it one day at a time. Understand that life is truly a mystery, that it can be figured out, and that you have a bad simulation today, there's always going to be another one tomorrow. So that would be
Literally.
the thing. So, but thank you so much for hopping on. I really appreciate it, and thank you for everyone watching. I appreciate you all, and I will see you all on the next episode.